It's not like, ooh, let's see if Junior here could handle taking care of a goldfish first before we can get a puppy. It's not like that. Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about brushes. So this is a short handle brush and this is a long handle brush. Short and long. So let's start with a short handle brush. And I don't know, for beginner artists, I don't really think it's really an issue as far as like which ones to start with or which to gravitate towards. And I'll show you why in a minute. But for the short handle brush, usually it's for watercolors, or if you're working on the table, actually you could be working on anything on the table, right? Anything from acrylics to oils. So let's say if I'm working on something down here on, say, my project, and a long handle brush just doesn't really make sense. It might just kind of get in the way. So a short handle brush might just be the right thing for you. You can get in up close and be able to wield it a little bit better versus a long handle brush. Another reason why you'd want to go with a short handle brush is, so this is a on-the-go brush for plein air painting, or if you're on the go travel. This is like a travel brush. So it pops out here, and I don't know if you could see this. Whoops. I got a few bristles that are kind of out of place, so I think I didn't put it back in the holder. Alright, so this is it here. I don't know if you could see that. Right, so those are your short handle brushes. Now for acrylic painters, you generally could use both the long handled brush or the short handle brush. And they do make various types of brushes. This is a very small headed, small bristled brush. Very tiny. Get in for the small details. I don't really use this too often. This is actually brand new. And you've got your various types of brush. And actually, I think the type of brush and the size are more important than the handle length. But again, people might be wondering which one to use, so that's what this video is for. So now let's get into the reasons why you want to use a long handle brush. Is if you're, well, typically for an oil painter, if you go into the stores, and actually if you go into the art store, it's kind of the decision is probably made for you, because if you go into the oil paint brush sections, they're mostly long handled, and that's because an oil painting is typically larger, and you work at the canvas, and as you're working on the canvas, your long handle brush allows you to get further back away from what you're working on here, and you can get an overall perspective of how your painting's coming along. And there's no rule saying that you could use a short handle brush for your up close detailed work, getting up tight and hitting all your little details with a steadier hand, versus the long handle brush here. You try to get into a small detail, it might be a little bit difficult. So if you, in fact, I do use a smaller brush for up close work with the long handle as well. So, but sometimes you might have a shakier hand, and a long handle brush might be a problem trying to steady it, where a short handle brush might be a little bit easier to control and get up close and be less shaky, if that's a problem. So if you're starting off as an artist, I think you'll notice that if you go to like I said earlier, if you go into a store and if you see watercolor brushes, they're typically very short handled like these. right? And if you go into your oil paint brush section, they're typically long-handled. And for acrylics, I've seen them where they're mostly long-handled, but short-handled brushes work as well. And I think that's because acrylic artists, they'll use the tabletop and the easel, both. And also, when you're using the easel, you're more likely to be standing, and your long-handled brushes tend to be more conducive to that type of work. And you can get back further away from your work, and so yeah, I'm just repeating myself now. So it's not like you're going from your, it's not like you're starting off with a short handle brush and you are going to be graduating towards a long handle brush. It's not like, ooh, let's see if Junior here could handle taking care of a goldfish first before he can get a puppy. It's not like that. It's more utilitarian, like a BMX bike versus a mountain bike. Your BMX bike is more, it's better for your flat track, a race track with shorter jumps and so forth. And your mountain bike, well, it's better for mountain trails and so forth, where you have larger rocks and things to go over with your wheels. And so therefore you got your larger wheel diameter, able to better take those hits and ruts and so forth a little easier than say a mountain bike. We have a smoother track. So it also comes down to what you prefer. I prefer long handle brush, my preference. If I'm working with watercolors, my watercolor brushes, the assortment there are typically the short handled brushes. And if I come across some long handled brushes for watercolor, yeah, I'll look at those things too. But so that's how it works. Like I said, I don't think this is really a huge issue. The type and size are more important as far as your brush type and how these will work for you as an artist. All right, so that's it for today, and I hope these things will help you out, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks. Bye-bye.